Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is John Paul Vicari, pronouns he, him. I'm the managing director here at We Create Space. Thank you so much for joining us for today's conversation on turning corporate talk into action. We've got a great lineup for you today, and we're going to be getting the conversation with all of our guest speakers and our wonderful We Create Space host in just a few minutes. For anyone who might need a visual description, I am a brown queer man with black glasses, a black beard, black curly hair, and a black t-shirt. So just lots of black over here in my world today, as usual. I'm currently based in Barcelona for the week, generally from the United States. Again, welcome. There's some good housekeeping things happening in the chat for you. So please, if you've not done so already, go through and update your name and your pronouns in Zoom. So what's on our agenda today? I already gave you a little bit of a welcome, told you who I was. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about We Create Space. We're going to do a quick opening poll, just to see where everyone is. And then we've got a ton of time for our actual conversation. We're going to have Q&A time for you today, time to talk about our key takeaways, and then opportunity for feedback and some just warm closing remarks. This session is also being recorded, so if you have to jump off early or if your coworkers weren't able to make it or you want someone else to watch it, you will receive this recording and you're welcome to share it out. We'd be more than happy to have you do so. We Create Space is a collective of change makers on a mission to improve the lives of LGBTQ plus people and other represented groups around the world. How we do this every day is by educating everyone here on this call and in the world on topics like DEI, leadership, allyship, through a handful of different methods, including events, consultancy, training, insights, and content. One of the things I'm the most proud of for working here is just how much we invest back into the community we serve. So we've developed over 1,000 paid work opportunities, invested over 500,000 pounds back into the queer community, and have had the opportunity to work with nearly 200 corporate partners. We know our solutions work, and I'm sure you've sat in on a lot of different webinars where everyone tells you, oh, our solutions work, and look at this stat and look at that stat. But we thought it would be more effective today to really hear it from the people who are doing the work themselves. And so that's why we've got some fabulous guest speakers lined up. But I also think it's important that 95% of our clients said they would recommend us, because that tells you with the intensity and sensitivity of the work that we're doing every day, it's really important to have a partner that you can trust. And so to earn that level of trust is really, really important for us. And we view our role really as supporting individuals in the community, and that can also go into the corporate setting, like ERG leaders, more advanced, in their career, senior leaders. We tend to think about leadership as a lowercase L, as in everyone has the ability to be a leader and a change maker. And what that gives us then is the opportunity to grow together and collectively. And so providing accessible education across the globe with fabulous partners makes us able to get in touch with all of our lovely members in our collective. We have a variety of solutions and services we offer. Really what we're going to be focused on today is going to be on consultancy and research, and really talking about a lot of the bespoke projects that we have the ability to work on. You'll get our contact information if you don't already have it, but we're happy to chat with you at any point about any of our solutions, whether it's for retreats or webinars or workshops, doing some more specialty research for you as well, but tons of great opportunity for us to partner, and we would love to work with you. As I mentioned, we were going to do an opening poll. And so I know I just rattled off a ton of information in a very short amount of time, so please forgive me. But the topic for today is talking about turning corporate action or turning corporate talk into action. How do we get beyond just the rhetoric of having the same conversation and not seeing any meaningful progress? So if you can, scan this QR code. The link for this will also be popped into the chat, and tell us what barriers are preventing you from turning DEI talk into action at work. This can be specific to your company. It can be things that you've heard from others, but we want your feedback. While you're filling that out, I want to bring in our hosts for the rest of today, Maylis and Jade.
Hello. Hi,
Welcome
JP.
to you both.
Opening, and hello, everyone. It's great to be in this space. Just a quick introduction to myself. My name is Maylis Djikalou. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently based in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, in West Africa. For those who need a visual description, I'm a Black cisgender female presenting person. I have Black Afro hair. I'm wearing a turquoise top, sitting in what looks like a bird cage, but it's actually my chair. By profession, I'm a coaching consultant. I'm also the program director at We Create Space. And yeah, what an opportunity to be here today to connect with leaders who are actually taking action and making positive change. Really excited to get into those results, so please keep them coming. I'm going to pass over to Jade. Hello, Jade, who's going to be co-hosting with me.
Thank you, Maylis. I'm Jade. My pronouns are they and them. For those of you that need a visual description, I'm in a distressed kind of brown shirt, and I have a green streak through my hair that is usually grey when I've not just been dressing up for Halloween. I am an executive diversity, equity and inclusion consultant, and I'm also the non-exec director for D&I at We Create Space. And I'm joining you from Bristol in England. And really pleased to be with some of our most treasured clients today, spotlighting the fantastic work that we've had the joy of partnering with them on. Thank you for joining.
Thank you both for your introductions. I'm going to go off for a little bit, and you two can take it from here.
Oh, of course. Oh, wow. Okay. We've got some results. It keeps moving and changing. So we asked the question, what barriers are preventing you from turning DEI talk into action? And what we're seeing at the core center there, budget. Quite relevant, really important conversation that we've all been having. Other pieces you're spotlighting there, Jade, I mean, we see time, CEO, lack of time.
Yeah, there seems to be some really consistent themes, a lack of kind of leadership support, and how that translates to how these initiatives are funded and your access to funding. And that probably impacts the consistency of work and the clarity that you can have with your teams about the kinds of longer term change and programs.
Yeah. And also lack of ally engagement, which is, I think, from across communities, right? What does that look like contextually? How is that intentionally, being thought about and integrated into the overall goals? So thank you so much for everyone who's just sharing, and please keep sharing. This is, I think, valuable information for all of us to just bear in mind. But in the context of this conversation, as JP said, we have amazing speakers and clients, clients, leaders that we get to work with, and we wanted to get them to introduce themselves a little bit. Jade, who should we start with?
Let's start with Hans.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hans Möller. I use the pronouns he and him. I'm a cis gay man. And for those who need a visual description, I am a bald bearded man wearing a purple shirt with some spots of colors in green and blue. And I'm sitting in front of a corporate background that says the Universal Process Orchestration, which is the company that I'm representing this time, which is Camunda. At Camunda, I am the office manager and the Camunda's LGBTQAI ERG leader, and I'm based in Berlin. Just for you to know about Camunda, Camunda enables organizations to orchestrate process across people, system, and devices to continuously overcome complexity and increase efficiency. With Camunda, businesses, users, and developers collaborate using BPMN to model to end-to-end process and run sophisticated automation with the speed, scale, and resilience required to stay competitive. So when it comes to the partnership with We Create Space, Camunda has been working with We Create Space since June 2022. So that's already 1 year and 4 months. And we have done a lot. We have done multiple workshops, on-site events, webinars, and yeah. Some of the factors that contributing seeking for an external partnership was mostly the factor that the person in charge of DEI at that time was not really an expert in the LGBTQAI+ community. And then I start thinking for ways to create awareness in the organization about the ERG that we were pushing through and making stronger and stronger. And then I ran into We Create Space, which was a fantastic opportunity for me to find the source of information that our company at that time was lacking. If you ask me why did we choose We Create Space, there are many, many reasons. First of all, I was fascinated by the global network that We Create Space, the diversity of speakers, the intersectionality of those speakers, the backgrounds, ethnicities, gender. I mean, We Create Space had it all. So I was very, very excited about it. And turns out it was exactly as you presented. So we started a partnership with an on-site event. And then we realized what a force We Create Space and what it has to offer. And when they say that they will deliver, they do deliver. So from then on, we start like a stronger partnership with We Create Space, which remains until now. And the fact that We Create Space as well heard what Camunda and us as an ERG wanted to bring for our company and tailor their solutions to achieve the goals that we have in mind, that made us believe that the partnership with We Create Space was the perfect match. We can have the security that, as I said before, when We Create Space says we want to do it, then they deliver. They find speakers that are expert in their topic, and they are delivering the best content and the best way possible. So we already experienced a few of their sources, their speakers, and they have been all fantastic. Some of the main solutions that we have been doing with We Create Space are learning and development, development of leaders and allies as well, raising awareness not only for the topics that relates to the LGBTQAI+ community, but also touching on points on the DEI spectrum, educate the business, and try to also reach out to our active allies within the company to know more about our community and enrich their knowledge per se in this specific matter. Inspired our leaders as well to take actions and start conversations as well. And visibility overall from all the people from our community within the company, and visibility on the topics that we wanted to put attention to. Some of the key achievements that we have done, as I said, awareness overall. I think that was the first point where we wanted to enter in a partnership with We Create Space. Then the ERG visibility, that was kind of like the second one. Then, for example, just as a small side note, for example, throughout one of the workshops that we did, we started a conversation on how we can implement that specific topic. And then all of a sudden, we were changing the nickname for our employees based on a conversation that we have about inclusive language and the use of pronouns. So just as a side note, this event that we brought to the table opened up the conversation. The conversation was translated into actions. And these are the tiny little things that we have done, but like this, there are a few more. So Jade, it is Camunda and the partnership with We Create Space.
Thank you, Hans, and thank you for that amazing introduction. You beautifully summarized kind of our partnership to date, and we have also valued you as a client. So thank you so much for kind of walking us through that. Edgar, I'd love to bring you in and to learn a little bit more about you and JTI.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Edgar Martinez. My pronouns are he and him. I am a cisgender gay man. I work at Japan Tobacco International. This is the manufacturer of well-known cigarette brands such as Winston and Camel. I am originally from Mexico City, but I relocated to Geneva one and a half years ago. And I have two roles in JTI. On my day job, I work in the legal department. I'm a legal director specialized in marketing and sales. And in my gay job, I co-chair the Pride ERG, our employee resource group. We are creating an international network of employees that want to foster, of course, LGBTQ plus inclusion. So we work along with people and culture, and they do the corporate perspective, policies, etc. And I think of my role and my colleagues' community as we are here to police and to make sure that the company lives by the promises they made. No? So we try to expand our presence globally to know what the markets need, because of course, as an international company operating in 127 countries, you can imagine the type of challenges that we have. No? So we have been working with We Create Space since 2021. And when they invited me to this call, I said, like, absolutely, no. I mean, this is, for me, I mean, there are two things. I can talk to you about what it's from the JTI corporate perspective, which I think Hans summarized very well. So they help us with the strategy, with learning opportunities, materials, courses, webinars, etc. We do a lot of things with them. But I want to talk to you right now about my personal experience. No? So for me, We Create Space has been actually a safe space. So when I took this position as a leader of the ERG, I said, like, my biggest concern is that I think I'm one of the worst gays ever, no? Because I don't know all the acronyms in the gay world, and it's too much, no? So when I took over this, I said, I feel like I'm an ignorant in these topics, no? So and I need a lot to learn. So JTI told me, don't worry, we have the partners for you. They are going to guide you through every step. So every time I have a question or a doubt or something that it's new to me, because every day I learn new things, I go to We Create Space, and they have always been there to guide me by the hand. And I think we have done amazing things. I have been growing in this personal journey, and there is nothing that I feel afraid of asking them. So this is, I think, for me, the most important thing of the relationship with We Create Space. And about what we have done, I mean, I will have the opportunity to tell you more during the course of this event. So I don't know if you want me to add anything else right now, Jade, Maylis, or?
No, thank you, Edgar. Thank you for framing it in both ways. And it's been a beautiful partnership and an amazing learning journey for us as well. And we're excited to get into some of the specifics of that and what you've done over there at the network, and even across JTI. I want to bring in our final speaker. So Maddy, who's joining us from Garnier. And Maddy, we started working, I think, pretty much this year. So it's an amazing, it was an amazing project, and I can't wait for you to tell us a bit more about that. So please introduce yourself and some of the key.
Absolutely. Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me. Yes, my name is Maddy Lewis. I use she, her pronouns. I'm talking to you from West London in the L'Oreal offices. So I work for Garnier, but we sit within the L'Oreal group, which I think is probably quite important context for today's conversation. And yes, on Garnier, we activated on Pride on our much loved micellar water this year, which is the #1 skincare product in the UK. So it's a very well established product, and it was the first time that we had spoken outwardly about our support for the LGBTQIA+ community. So what something we were really, really conscious of is we didn't just want this to be a one-off flash in the pan campaign that we know attracts a lot of criticism for very good reason, but we wanted to join an existing conversation in a super meaningful way. So we've long supported the LGBTQIA+ community, but this year we wanted to make much more of a statement by partnering with a global and a local charity. Locally in the UK, it was Just Like Us on We Create Spaces advice. We wanted to do this with the sensitivity that it deserved. So, you know, I know that we've talked about blockers, for example, like at the start of this meeting, and that's something that is so, it really speaks to us, like as the Garnier team, because obviously sitting within the L'Oreal group, we don't typically kind of chime into these conversations. But we know that the work we did here on Garnier locally in the UK more organically before this campaign came about really inspired almost this shift for us as a brand in terms of how we've already supported the community. But also we were really, really lucky enough to have support up and down the hierarchy. So it was really, really great that, of course, we have our global team in Paris, and then here in the UK, perhaps we have a bit more knowledge, I'd say, maybe, and a bit more passion for the topic at hand. It was really our purpose in the UK to really be leading this for globally for Garnier, but really wanted to activate it in the right way in the UK and lead with by example, and We Create Space really helped us do that. And at the start of the year, we acknowledged that we were leaning into a super sensitive topic. And of course, as we always lean into sensitive issues and complex things, like no different, we wanted to seek external expertise. And we, of course, have lots of ERGs here in L'Oreal who have been really, really great partners to us throughout this year. But we all agreed that having We Create Space alongside us would help us approach it and contribute it to it in a meaningful way, as I said. So obviously, being like a mass brand, it's a blessing and a curse. We're speaking to a lot of varied consumers here in the UK, and I'm sure in all markets that you're joining from, it's the same. And the best advice that we had from We Create Space was, you're not going to please everyone, and no matter how you do this, of course, it's going to attract conversation. But yeah, We Create Space really helped us to crystallize a number of messages that, of course, were approved by our corporate communications teams. It's super unusual for us to be taking such a stance on such a politically diverse conversation. But it was a really, really successful campaign. So I'm really proud to share that we will be activating on this 365 days a year. And we're already planning for next year to make it bigger and better, taking in the learnings. I think it was one of the highest engagement we've had on a campaign to date. And we were really able to reinvent a conversation on a very well-established product as well, looking back to the product side of things. So yeah, we really, really enjoyed working with We Create Space. So really proud to be sharing our experience here today.
Wow. Thank you so much, Maddy, for just everything that you compacted and just from the practice. It's such an amazing journey, and it took time, and it's still continuing. And I'm excited to kind of get into some of the learnings, as you said, you know, the internal change for the team, and also even externally, and just for the people listening here. So this space really for us was to open kind of the doors behind the work that we do, but we know that these case studies are practical and applicable as well for some of the work that you do. So the client speakers, they're here, really, these are colleagues and people we go to ask questions and inquire about. So the space is open for you to raise questions. We have some Q&A time towards the end, but we really want to get into some of the conversation. So whatever resonates, the chat's open. Please, we really want to hear from you as well. Yeah. Awesome. Jade, should we get in a bit deep?
Yeah, no, let's kick the conversation off. And Hans, I'm going to come to you first, but you touched in your introduction about the education and awareness raising that's kind of taken place at Camunda. And I really just wanted to kind of humanize that and understand the like real impact that sharing awareness on some of these new topics to a global audience at Camunda has had, and really why you sought out those educational partnerships with us at We Create Space?
So basically, our aim from the beginning with the ERG was to raise awareness and educate. Through that education, we thought that we will provide the tools to all our colleagues as well to understand basically the community, and from the basic language to the pronouns to what, for example, a transgender person is. So with that piece of information, then we start finding the feeling that the ERG has somehow like an impact within the company, and more people from our community start feeling more comfortable with sharing their personal stories to make things shape in a way that it touches you more directly. Sometimes where we hear stories from others, we don't really feel it, but then when suddenly in one of our workshops, a colleague of ours is opening up and it's telling their journey as a non-binary person, and how this has been throughout her career and in different organizations as well, people start understanding things in a different way and probably paying a bit more attention. That part of humanizing our partnership and providing this safe space for people to share and basically be out of their shelves has created a great atmosphere at Camunda. We have heard from different colleagues as well, their struggles, their experiences, and this has been matched as well with the experiences that we have heard from the speakers that We Create Space provided. Through the fact that the speakers open up to ourselves and share those personal experiences, people start understanding the different struggles within the community as well. I remember vividly saying, "Oh my God, I never heard this story before" from a colleague. That experience already shows that if you're not related with a person that has a different intersectionality than you and your surrounding, you might never really feel encounter with this reality. So we put it out there. We brought a speaker who openly talked about those struggles. And it was a huge learning experience for some of our colleagues who attended the workshop. So that level of expertise and specialization when it comes to certain topics, and the way that the speakers also brings it to the organization, has created quite a big impact. And it has allowed us also to continue with certain conversations after the workshops, or that's the specific thing sparked something else that then we utilize it to create an impact within the organization. So, for example, the use of pronouns was at the beginning, our early stage within the ERG, one of the topics that we covered. And then we created some internal documentation where we explain and we kind of like also push, or let's say we try to inspire people to use them more actively, and we show them how to actually incorporate it in any kind of platform we have. So, and this is also something that we could keep track of it, and we could see that people were incorporating in their Zoom profiles, or in Slack, or in the signature emails. So those are the like small details that, as one of the persons here in the chat said, little changes, big impact kind of thing. And we have seen that through the conversations with We Create Space coming more and more.
I was going to say, Hans, as well, you just reminded me when I joined the Sardinia retreat to host the D&I session, all of the senior leaders, your CEO, the co-founders, everybody attended. And now doing more work with you, they point back to that session and things that really resonated with them. And as you say, sparked that kind of thinking and allowed them to be a little bit vulnerable and confront some of these topics for the first time. But it was a real show of support that everybody on the SLT and the co-founders and the CEO, everybody came. So yeah, thank you for sharing some of those really kind of practical examples. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Maylis.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hans. And I love the fact that you talked about, creating an atmosphere where people can be vulnerable, where people can actually share and colleagues can get to learn from each other. And one of the things and the projects that we've been so proud to work on with JTI is how we become intentional in really making connection happen. Because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, we want to meet once a month, but we have to think about how we imagine these spaces to benefit, to support, to empower, and all of that. Edgar, I want to speak to you about, why was it actually, crucial for an LGBTQ plus ERG to actually prioritize, I think, as a leader, but even that idea of prioritizing well-being for their queer community, and how does kind of that commitment contribute to creating more of a vibrant and inclusive workplace?
Absolutely. So, I mean, for LGBTQ plus inclusion, there is a lot of things to do, no? So it's, I think we can all have the plate full, but one of the things that I was discussing is, but we need to prioritize, because we also see in the poll that we have a reduced budget and we have also other sort of constraints. So what is the key priority? What do we want to tackle first? And then the rest we can do in parallel. It doesn't mean we don't need to do other things, no? But we reached the conclusion that the well-being of the LGBTQ plus community was the priority number one, because at the end, I mean, the role of the ERG is to create a community of employees. We're employees for employees. We are not the corporation. So sometimes members of the LGBTQ plus community can be protected by the corporate policies, saying like, yes, there is no discrimination here, but it's very beautifully written in the paper. But then when you actually live it in the day-to-day work, it's completely different, no? So what we wanted to create was this safe space for the employees to be able to approach us in a different way. So, for example, we know that if there is a violation, if there is someone discriminated, you can start this compliance mechanism, very formal in the company, etc. But sometimes members of the community do not want to activate those mechanisms. They could feel fear of even retaliation, no? So we are creating this new open space for them to contact us, and we have been tackling this through trainings and through other through webinars where we invite leadership. Also, as Hans was saying, no, everything starts with awareness. So all of this, I mean, every time that something like this happens, I call We Create Space and say, like, this thing happened to me. How would you react, please? No, because my first reaction as a Latin person, it's take up the phone and confront the people and say, like, what's wrong with you? No, but sometimes this cannot be the best solution in the corporate world. No, so it's a good mixture and a balance. So on one side, it's this well-being from to create this safe space from the employees, and of course also from the members of the ERG. We also focus on the well-being because, again, we have our day job and our gay job, and this can take a lot of energy as well. And we don't want the members of the ERG to be burned out, no? So we also focus on mental health from that perspective. So in general, I mean, if I could summarize this, we focus on well-being because first, it's our priority, and second, without people having this well-being, we cannot do anything, no? We won't reach any good results.
Yeah, and I so relate to everything you're saying, and it's fascinating the power that an ERG can have as being that kind of blocker, and leaders within the ERG to kind of facilitate and take the burden away from their colleagues. And we've seen you do that time and time again. And I think for us, even to just demonstrate how allyship actually can happen even within the community, that is also quite intersectional. And Maddy, I want to come to you with this, because allyship as well was a key, like a centerpiece for the campaign for Garnier. And I just want to kind of you to speak into really how did that kind of thought partnership, our thought partnership, help steer the campaign in an authentic way, bringing a conversation that I think, as you know, is quite polarized. But what were some of the most important conversation and considerations for you with a campaign that is not only just managing, advocating for marginalized talent, but creating wider awareness for LGBTQ plus education and allyship?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's quite a few considerations for us, and some stuff that we're really proud that we navigated as well alongside your help. So as I mentioned, it's the first time that Garnier had, directly shared our, made a statement around our support for the LGBTQIA plus community, even though we'd obviously done it in different ways before. But there are a number of considerations because we wanted to ensure we were joining existing conversations within the LGBTQIA plus community. We were very aware that we weren't going to be conversation starters, but more we wanted to help use our voice because, we have 89% awareness here in the UK, which is absolutely huge for a brand. So ensuring that we're aware of the responsibility that brings as a brand. And then obviously, of course, being mindful of the current climate of, politically as well. I think you guys advised us that it wasn't the year to celebrate. It's not just about putting rainbows on stuff, but it was actually about how allyship is more important than ever. And obviously, speaking to the Garnier consumer, we recognize that quite a lot of our consumers probably weren't within the community potentially, and could do with some upskilling themselves and talking about how they could be better allies to the people around them. And of course, our our charity partner, Just Like Us, they specialise in education in schools. And we know that everyone's grown up with a Garnier bottle in their bathroom potentially in the UK. So we felt like there was a duty for us to almost be opening up conversations in non-queer spaces, for example. So we didn't want to half commit to Pride. We really wanted to meaningfully establish ourselves in this space, and through the work with We Create Space, that gave us a lot more confidence to do that. So what we did, and on We Create Space's advice, was leverage a number of people that we work with ongoing in the community that have really large followings. And these were both people from the queer community, but also allies as well, and very proud allies, but also allies that hadn't been so vocal about it in the past online. And what we did as our campaign is we had them speaking to each other about their experience with the community and how perhaps they can show up better for them in times. And obviously there was a lot of storytelling there, and we felt it just we were able to bring to life real stories and real people in a really meaningful way, as we say. So that was something that was really, really important to us, and We Create Space really helped us embed that campaign and really catered to our super bespoke needs in terms of like that end to end. So what we talked about on the packaging, right up until how we protected those allies and those LGBTQIA plus advocates that we put on that stage, because obviously we elevated them out of their bubbles, if you like. So we made sure that we were super watertight end to end. So that was really important to us.
I think you just touched on so many kind of the most impactful parts of the partnership together. And you just touched on the end about the way that the kind of queer and ally talent was supported and on the day, and how people consulted with the talent. And, it's the aftercare, in case negative comments come their way, and how do we help support them and understand this kind of, as you say, we've shot them to the stratosphere on this kind of massive campaign. How can we put our arms around them and authentically support them? Yeah. Because you are kind of going into the unknown. But I really loved that the kind of emphasis behind the campaign was really opening up a conversation in spaces that might not yet be taking place with children, with other people that use these products. And I know it went down really well. With that,
but to be fair, sorry, just to share as kind of maybe like more actionable things for the people on the call, is that we did receive backlash in certain comments and on certain posts on social. And as you mentioned, it's no secret that obviously our campaigns are quite large and they do go to a lot of people, and we have people that we care for so deeply here on Garnier that we've worked with over years, that we had them, they were like cis gay men, they were trans women removing their makeup and telling their stories about what Pride means to them. And of course the comments attracted a lot of conversation because we were boosting them far and wide to boost awareness of the conversation. And we were able to work with TikTok and Meta as our partners to make sure that they were helping to shield this. And this is something that's completely ongoing with us, that we are trying to educate them and upskill them on just the effect that it has when they don't show up as platforms to protect the people that are making a living off their platforms. So the work really goes outside of Garnier, and actually how can we moving forward make sure we're protecting that community that we're building their profiles, so they're not living with that ongoing attention, essentially.
It also forges these long-term kind of deeply trusting partnership relationships.
Absolutely.
And it's a real kind of honoring of the perspective they bring, the vulnerability and the risk that they take in also celebrating these products. But it's also brilliant to see that you've used that role to influence those other partners as well, because that's going to have kind of a bigger change and a bigger impact.
We hope, anyway. It's a work in progress for sure. And that there's no tools to protect these people, and they don't exist at the moment. And that's what we're working on. Every day we have conversations about how we can do better next time and better protect these people, and like you say, just bring them closer to the brand so they feel that they can further share their stories, because they're trusting their stories. But that's not something that we don't take for granted, for sure.
Well, on the topic of queer communities, Edgar, I wanted to come back to you and just touch on really the involvement and partnership at some of your global summits. And just for some context, JTI have global summits where they bring together the queer folk from across the business who are wanting to have a sense of community, but also learn to be kind of an intersectional ally to other people within the queer community and beyond. And we have supported you at your Toronto and Athens summit. And I really just wanted to take the opportunity to unpack how it helped with the growth and development of those regional chapters, but also the sense of community and connection that was forged at these spaces.
Yes, absolutely. So JTI made us two corporate promises, not to the employees. First, that there is no discrimination. This is in the code of conduct. And second, that at JTI we celebrate Pride 365 days a year, not only during Pride Month. So now, very beautifully written. Now, what does this mean in reality? No, so something that I love about the company is that we really actually had a meeting with people and culture, and they said, like, okay, what do you need? We want to create community. We want to connect with queer leaders, power allies, and people and culture in the markets. So this created the idea of let's do a summit. So let's bring a queer leader in the country, in the specific market, the representative or head of people and culture, preferably, depending on the agendas, and of course, allies. No? So we did it per region. So the one in Toronto was for the Americas. So all the markets in the Americas continent, we sent 3 people. Also, we also did it in Western Europe, and of course, the ambition is to do it in every single region. But you can imagine that this is a lot of work and the preparation. You don't imagine, you lived it with us. So what we created was a very packed agenda during 3 days, where we had, of course, a lot of opportunities for people to interact, but also to show them that we were all actually walking the talk. It was not only, oh, we are very nice and inclusive company. It's like, no, we're here and we are going to discuss what do you need in each of the markets. So we started with, for example, presentations from the markets. What is the situation of the LGBTQ plus community there? We also had we create space preparing trainings and giving some talks or lectures about LGBTQ plus inclusion, and it was so empowering, no? So when we went out of each of the summits, we have many chapters being created locally, no? Where what do we mean by chapter? Is like a representation of the ERG on the ground. So someone that speaks the language, that knows the culture there, that knows what it's needed there in the market to create this safe space and this well-being for the community, no? So it has been absolutely an amazing journey. We have had people connecting from all over the world and saying, you know, here what we need is a training for leadership. In some other places, what we need is to participate in the Pride March. In some others, it's like we here just need to start the conversation because we don't even have an out and proud employee in this market, no? So then a power ally takes the baton and helps us push this inclusion efforts from the ERG, no? So all of this work was amazing with the presentations, the content, and especially the flow of how you introduce these subjects and make the people leave the summit with this sensation that this is not blah, blah, no, this is, the company is really caring about this, it's opening the doors, and now it's for us as employees, if we want to make a change and to actually leave it in the workplace, to actually step forward and do the efforts as well, no? So it has been an amazing experience, and I really hope to continue doing it. We will. I'm just making the plans for the next year. So.
I think you just summarized the kind of the spirit of the summit so well. I really reflected on just the joy and the opportunity people had to share their stories and find connection and collaboration. Even though they're a global community, I know that lots of those relationships stand the test of time. They're still very much in contact, and they're helping to leverage best practice from maybe more mature regions to help some of the newer regions set up. And it was a pleasure to join you at the retreat. So thank you for that. Hans, I did want to just kind of come back to you and just really take the opportunity to, at the moment, our partnership kind of has worked primarily on supporting the LGBT colleagues, but I know that you and I have really kind of focused on the intersectional nature of this work as well. And I just thought it would maybe be nice as a final comment, just to talk about the opportunity that businesses have to share some of these insights from We Create Space amongst other ERGs, and how we can have more intersectional conversations, because we know that people aren't just one thing. So somebody might be queer, but they might also be a woman. They might also have some other challenges that they want to discuss, and just really the opportunity there.
I think the partnership of We Create Space have been seen by the entire company. They have experienced the multiple events that we have done, either on site with the 2 participations in the retreat, in the annual retreats that we have had last year, Pennsylvania, this year, Sardinia. All of those things are nowadays in the radar of all our employees, and I know for sure that there are people that they are considering as well continue the partnership in their own, let's say, specialized departments. So for example, we have an ERG for women as well, who were looking into the possibility to again create a partnership with We Create Space, like basically focusing the topics in what they want to bring to the table. The same thing with marketing and the events team, who were all already thinking to incorporate We Create Space in one of our conferences. So I think overall, all the things that we have done with We Create Space have showed that we are talking about an organization that basically can do it all when it comes to learning, development. Now we're talking about a specific topic, which is the LGBTQIA+ community, but also when we reach out to you, Jade, about DEI, this was again another opportunity for us to collaborate and start a new partnership. We have focused our the participation in our Sardinia retreat about DEI, and the same thing with another workshop that we have brought to Camunda. So I think when we look at it of what We Create Space can do, at least for a company like Camunda, has been, okay, it has been primarily LGBTQIA+ community, but also has been the DEI, and that everything is now leading to your new inclusion to Camunda as an external consultant to do an auditory to what's happening at Camunda and create a DEI strategy for the upcoming 12 months. So that already it's just shows that from one thing to another you are attracting the attention from different parts of the organization, and at the same time the leaders of our company have seen the potential on We Create Space, and especially with you, Jade, to trust basically the DEI and your hands and just give it to you as a project, let's say.
Yeah, no, I think the partnership has been so kind of iterative, and it's fantastic to see kind of the buy-in and engagement and interest come from other departments so that we can support you more holistically on an enterprise-wide basis and really kind of create that red thread through the business. With that, I am going to pass back to Maylis because we want to hear some questions from participants. So over to you, Maylis.
Yes, thank you so much, Jade and Hans, for bringing us to this point. We swiftly went into the Q&A, and thank you to everyone who shared the questions. I think some of them we addressed already in talking, but there's one specifically coming for you, Maddy, and it said, would love to hear more about how Garnier used its role as a heritage brand for DEI work. Maddy mentioned we all grew up with a bottle in the bathroom. This is true for Europe and the UK for sure. How can other brands with this kind of community awareness use that for their DEI work and reaching a wide group of people with a mainstream message?
Yeah, of course. What I'll probably start with is what we kind of do as Garnier. So we're very proudly cruelty-free, and we have a lot of sustainability commitments as well. So we have a lot of commitments for 2030 that a lot of our ingredients and things are going to be bio-sourced. So our labs are working very hard on that. So that's a huge part of what we do. And then, you know, I think we're quite a future-driven brand in terms of we're looking at our different communities, and because we're a mass brand, we know we're speaking to lots of different diverse tribes. So we try to make sure that we're tapping into conversations online, because a lot of our conversations happen online. And whether that be, you know, listening to different groups of our consumers from different backgrounds on how they use the products and how they like to work with the products. So, for example, we just had a conversation this morning, a consultation on how the Black community like to use our hair food mask and how we can maybe build a campaign around that so people feel more heard and more listened to and more included. So that's something that's huge for us. And obviously Pride was a massive part of this year for us, and just ensuring that we're bringing all voices into that as well, so across the queer community, but also again different backgrounds and different stories. From our side, in terms of what other brands can do, I would say tapping into stuff that is authentic to you as a brand, I think, is key. Obviously, we see every year people putting rainbows on their bottles and on their products and saying that they're donating money, or sometimes they're not even donating money to charities, because it suits them and it suits kind of the optics of their brand. And I think actually the key thing that we've learned this year, and obviously what we went into, is doing everything very authentically. So building it from the ground up, looking at the consumers and the communities that you're speaking to, and having that direct conversation with you, and how can you support them. Obviously you can't do it all as a brand, and we understand that, we acknowledge that, and we go into things very humbly as well. We're not going in knowing that we're the experts. We acknowledge that we haven't got all of the expertise in-house, which is why we partner with agencies such as We Create Space. So yeah, that would be my main advice, and the main learnings from this year is ensuring that you're listening as you're doing it. And even while the campaign was on, we were listening always, and ensuring that, you know, everything that we were doing was very considered. So that'd be my main advice. And yes, rainbow washing is real for sure. That was definitely a huge thing that we had in mind going into this.
Thank you so much, Maddy, and just all of you, just for sharing all of this. I think all the intricate parts of the collaboration, but I think specifically as well your own journey doing this work, and I think pushing it forward. I love how, Hans, you said push and then you switch to inspire. I think there's constantly that kind of feeling when we're passionate about the work that we do and we want to see things happen, to figure out the level of intensity with all of our internal stakeholders, but even the people, you know, we're accountable for, our communities, and, you know, the customers, the audience, the brands, that people who believe in what we do. So Jade, I'm going to hand over to you for closing words. I know that for the people still here with us, we wanted to take a bit of time to do a bit of a feedback survey, opportunity to raise any questions that you may have, or even get in touch with us moving further. If you feel there's something that wasn't quite clear for you, and even you want to reach out to Hans, Edgar, or Maddy, just, yeah, we want to open that floor to you. But Jade, over to you to close us off. Thank you so much, everybody.
Just want to say a massive thank you on behalf of We Create Space for joining the session today, and to all of our fantastic speakers. Partnership is only as strong as both partners, and so we've really appreciated the opportunities, the trust, to learn through you, and putting your trust in us, and also having the psychological safety to fail in the pursuit of innovation. We've got to reward the shots at the goal, and sometimes in D&I, as Maddy said, you're not going to get everything right, but if we're really thoughtful and considerate in our approach, we can minimize the potential for challenge and optimize the opportunity. We wanted to share a couple of key takeaways from today's session. So understand the importance of forging those powerful partnerships. Remember, the little changes have a big impact. Remaining humble. We don't know it all, and an expert point of reference can be very limiting. We're all students in life, and prioritize well-being of employees, because it creates more opportunities for allyship. So yeah, thank you very much again, and hopefully we will speak to you soon.